I'm Joshilyn, and I have a couple of things I want to say first, just really quick. First of all, thank you very much for being here and supporting your library. I grew up in libraries. My dad was military when I was little, up until 3rd grade, and so we moved every year. And I was blessed with the kind of mother who, when we got to a new town, she would find the library before she found the Piggly Wiggly. And so every time we moved, I would know, I was going to a new place, I wouldn't know anybody, but I knew within 24 hours I would be with Trixie Belden, I would be with Nancy Drew, I would be with Conan the Barbarian, who I liked very much. And so I just sort of have this karmic debt to them, and that you're here and supporting your library's programs. That's just like, I feel very warmly toward you. We should probably make out. But thank you for doing that. And also thank you for supporting those of you who bought the books today, for supporting your physical brick and mortar existing truthful bookstore. I know that I'm a paper book girl. I'm a tree killer. And I know that the internet is so convenient and stuff, but it's just good that there are books available in human reading form without a screen. I really like that, and I like the sense of community that both libraries and physical bookstores foster. So thank you for that too. I thought what I would do is I'll talk a little bit, and then I'm not going to talk too long. I would rather talk about what you want to talk about. But I gotta tell you, I'm kind of a nervous person, and I'm kind of a twitchy person, and I'm also a person that's going to cause a rift in the space-time continuum. You won't feel it, but I will. And what's going to happen is, at a certain point, I'm going to say, does anyone have any questions? And at that point, right here, along the line of this podium, this horrifying rift will open. And on your side of the rift, time will continue as per normal. But on my side of the rift, if 4 seconds pass, I will complete menopause, age, and die. So what I'm going to need you to do is, when I say those words, and I'll cue you, you'll feel it coming. Please, somebody be ready. Have a question ready. If you put your hand up first and don't make that 4 seconds pass, you will be my favorite. So that being said, I thought I would go ahead and answer what's almost always. Can I take this down, do you think?
Sure.
Do what you. And take this down. And I might not even need it. I was born loud, y'all, but I don't like this thing in between us. This is better. Isn't this better? One of the first questions you almost always get asked when you ask that terrible question that rips space and time open is, where do you get your ideas? Where did this book come from? Where do novels come from? And the short answer is, sometimes a mentally ill person and a ream of paper love each other very, very much. And you get a novel. And that's true, but there's also 1,000 more detailed stories about each book that I could tell you, and it would I could say, oh, this book came from this, and it would be true. And I could tell you 100 for each book, because they're just little pinpoints that cause a book. So, but in between those two answers, in between 4,000 stories where we would all be dead before finished, and the one-liner, the real answer is, for me, books come from characters. Super literary writers, theme drives their car. Super commercial writers, plot drives their car. I like to have plot in the car. I like there to be a big scoop of it. I want kissing and shooting, usually within a couple of pages of each other. I also like theme. Fiction is story is how I explain the world to myself. I write stories not to answer, because they can't be answered, but to engage with questions like, what does redemption look like? How far can you go into the darkness before you fall off the world? And if you don't, what's the little life that calls you home? Why are you two the same parents, same everything, and one of you falls off the earth and the other of you gets pulled back? What does that reversal look like? How is that possible? What does a miracle look like? Are there miracles in the 20-aughts?
on the 20 teens? And if so, what do they look like and how do they function? How is parenthood transformative? What is the difference between a woman and a mother, or a man and a father? Because those are very different animals. So I have plot in the car and I have theme in the car, but for me, what always starts a book is character. It's the people. And I am the kind of person who, I do not like to be bored. I have a very short attention span. And so I hate to drive, and I hate to brush my teeth, and I hate to vacuum my house because it's not interesting. But you have to drive sometimes, and if you don't brush your teeth, they fall out. And if you don't vacuum your carpet, the bugs come and they eat you. So it's important to do all these things. So from the time that I was very little, I would be inventing people while I was doing all the things I didn't like to do, like being in school or chores. And I've always done this. I've always invented people. And I think about these people for a long time before I write them. Sometimes years. I don't think there's a book I've ever written that hasn't had a character, at least one character that I've been thinking about for at least 5 years. The longest I ever thought about a character, 18 and a half, 19 years. I invented Bernice Frett in between Georgia when I was 19 years old, and I never stopped thinking about her until I was 30 mumble and started writing that book. And for me, Someone Else's Love Story began with a man named William Ashe. I had been wanting to write about William Ashe for about 10 years. He's an interesting fellow. He's a geneticist. He's on the autism spectrum. He's an atheist. He's a pragmatist. And I had a sense that William would be at ground zero, that he would start below sea level. The story I wanted to tell, I wanted to take this very concrete person of no faith and take everything away from him and start him at the darkest place in the world and see what would happen to him. And I loved William as a person, so it felt kind of mean to do it, but I wanted to start his story on the anniversary of this event that basically, a car accident, he's lost his whole family. And he's on the autism spectrum, so his personal relationships are very few and very intense, because they are so few. So he has no support system. I give him one friend, who is so mentally ill in her own right. She loves him very much, but I'm not sure how supportive Paula Voss is. And here's the problem with that. It's like setting out to write a novel where your main character is a rock. And like a rock, like an impenetrable, sad, gray rock. And, I'd start to write about William, and it would be like, William Ashe woke up, and the sun was shining, and the birds were singing, and he walked into the sea and drowned. And it's a really good book.